Hey, this is Nessyp of NPE Entertainment, and I have the greatest opportunity to be able to talk to Miss Robbin Garrett tonight. Robbin, I've known her for a little while, not for a really long period of time, but she is such an inspiration. So I gotta give you your props, girl. You are just an
Thank you.
inspiration. How are you tonight?
I am absolutely marvelous. How about you?
I am just fine. So another thing I want to tell you guys is that Robin to me is like a jack of all trades. She got so much going on. I don't know how she keeps herself as organized as she is. So we're gonna go in order with this. So Robin, tell me about your relationship talks.
Relationship Talks started August of 2022,
Okay.
and it deals with everyday life, as far as couples, marriage, siblings, friendship. So it has a variety of talking about relationships that people go throughout their everyday life. And sometimes you can have a best friend that's not related to you,
Mhm.
but more so like a sister. So, and you all have that relationship, then you have a best friend that is male that you all may have that relationship, platonic relationship, as well as being in a relationship, but you all decided to just depart ways and become friends and stay as friends. And
Okay.
then also we talk about how do you relate in your situations or your experience as a relationship? Like, have you ever been cheated on? Um, how do you handle that? Have you and your sisters or you and your brothers, have y'all ever had a fight? And if you did, how did you handle that? And who forgave who, or was there any kind of forgiveness coming
Mhm.
into play? So that's what relationship is talked about. And it's all kinds of scenarios, and it be juicy. And we started on a Sunday. So sometimes it could be Sunday night, and it depends on the conversation, because sometimes it may start at 8:30, and depends on who's on. We last maybe 2 hours. We try to
Wow.
cut it, but it just doesn't. And then we do Tuesday nights, and then we started about a few months ago. It's called Relationship After Hours, and that's mainly on Saturday night. Woo!
Okay.
My goodness, oh my goodness, it be juicy. And it's sort of like anything goes, and it's
Okay.
basically like, you know, everybody take their hair down, let their hair down, and not to
Mhm.
say that any other night it's not like that, but because Saturday night, the next night is Sunday, or the next day is Sunday, nobody really has to get up and go to work. So we started that just for that reason, because it be so juicy. And on a midnight or midday, I mean, we start 8:30. Sometimes we don't get off until midnight, and people be like, "Oh man, I gotta go to work in the morning." But what was you saying? Or who to say what? And no, and then and then it'll start like, well, what would you do with your mate? you know do you go on a drive, or are you spontaneity, or are you spontaneous, or how do you do it, how do you handle? My goodness. And you should hear the fellas, the gentlemen, the men that be on there. Woo! I think they are worse than us women. I'm not sure, but I think we like neck and neck, and it be really, really good. It be really juicy. So that's what relationship talk is all about.
Okay, so what gave you the concept to start something like this? I mean, how did you go about doing this? So it's like, okay, I'm gonna just sit down and start this relationship talks. What kind of drove you to this?
Well, I'm from up north, and Philadelphia to be exact.
Hmm.
And my girlfriends and I would go out on, Friday night, Thursday
Okay.
night, and we would have girls' night, and we would everybody go out and pick a restaurant. and it
Okay.
would be my turn to pick a restaurant. And we just start off our, girls talk and say, "Hey, how was your day? Hey, how was your day?" And the ladies be like, "Girl, listen, I'm having a crisis here, right in the middle of dinner." And they be like, all right, come on, call Dr. Phil. Come on, Dr. Phil in the hood. I'm like, who is Dr. Phil? You. So I've just been named Dr. Phil, and I just start, from that moment on. And then what we started doing was taking it to, each other's houses, and then
Uh-huh.
the men would show up. And then we had men against women, and then we called it the round table. And the round table is when the men ask the women questions like, well,
Okay.
what would you do? How would you handle this? If your man came in at midnight, would you be upset? Or how would you handle it? Or would you, be understanding, and
Right.
I mean, stuff like that. And then it would be like, my favorite thing is, I like to go on a drive, and I say, okay, who driving? And he'll say, okay, I'll drive. I'll take first drive. And I'll be like, oh, good. And then, it's you see where you end up, and
Oh,
that's where the communication comes in at,
okay.
because I believe communication is a key, and it is, it's number one to everyday life, along with trust, honesty, and all of that. So
Hmm.
when you have that, then you can build, and I always say you want to build on a that steady foundation. You don't want to build on sand, because if you have, stuff going on in the very beginning and you haven't resolved it, it may not last. So you must communicate, you got to iron it
Okay.
out in order for you to go to the next step, in order for you to go to the next level. You may have your experience, with other relationships, but
Hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean the relationship that you're in will be the same,
You're
so
right.
you have to take down your wall. You may have a wall up, but you can't see. You cannot see over that wall. You looking, but you can't see. So you got to take your wall down a little bit so you can see over. You can see what's going on.
So is that your
Especially
wall? Is that your wall or someone else's wall?
sometimes it be mine.
Okay.
Sometimes my wall has been up.
Okay.
And I had to say, well, Robbin, you know, if you're looking for something, if you want something, if you want a steady, good, wholesome relationship, then it
Hmm.
starts with you. You can't be looking at nobody else and talk about everybody else, and you got some stuff with you. So I had to get in the mirror, and I literally had to face me. I had to face Robbin, and that was a hard thing for me to do. But once I did it and I unpacked, you know, my bags, I unpacked my bags
Hmm.
and I dealt with the issues that I needed to deal with in order for me to have a wholesome relationship. So now I'm able to talk. Now I'm able to give advice, and because I didn't already unpack my own stuff. So that's what relationship talks is all about. And then I took it from up there and brought it down here,
Hmm.
and so that's what we do. Relationship talks. And I was bold enough to say, okay, let me go on Facebook and let me take it there. And at first I was like, why ain't nobody gonna listen to me? I don't have a whole lot of followers and a whole lot of this and a whole lot of that. But then my friends would say, Robbin, you better do this, because you never know who you may help, because you have helped us. So there we go. We about almost 6 months in a relationship talks.
Wow. So I should call you Dr. Phyllis instead of Dr. Phil.
Yes,
You should be Dr. Phyllis. Yeah.
Dr. Phyllis. There you
Yes.
go.
Okay. So because I'm really intrigued about this. With the relationship talks, what was your biggest challenge personally?
Personally, was trust.
Okay.
That was my biggest challenge, was, do I trust my friends? Not necessarily male friends, but it was anybody. And I was in my own way,
Okay.
because I allowed the biggest mountain that I dealt with to hinder me from trusting anybody. I would let you get but so far, like, or so close,
Mhm.
and then once I felt as though you were getting too close to me, I'd be like, hey, whoa, wait a minute, and then I'm admitting, I'm being transparent here. I
Okay.
self-sabotage my relationships,
Wow.
because of my hurt,
Okay.
and the saying,
Hurt
hurt
people,
people.
hurt people. Right.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna get you before you get me, because I don't really want to, that hurt is, and by me doing that, I messed up a good relationship. And I said, oh Lord, I do not want to do that again. And so prayer is the number one key
Mhm.
to a healthy relationship, alongside with communication. Because when you pray and you ask God who and where and whom should you be connected with, he will give you the answer. But with you being connected with this one and that one, that's, you have to realize and see, are you compatible?
Okay.
Because how can two walk together except they agree? you
Okay.
know so you have to be in agreement with one another, and then sometimes opposite do attract. You don't never know. You never know
That's true.
who he
That
is
is
or who
true.
she is, you know but you have to be vulnerable and take your wall down a little bit. you know I'm not saying don't guard it, your heart, but don't guard it too much to wherein you can't see and meet the right person
Right.
you know
Okay, so I'm turning this into a session for relationship talks. And I do have one other question with that is, okay, so when you said about trust, what about trusting yourself?
That's the thing, because of me being in a bad relationship,
Hmm.
I didn't trust myself to be in a good one, because I was not only was I my wall up from other people, but my wall was up from me too,
Okay.
you know. And then I had to say, all right, Robin, come on now. Come on. I had to talk to me like, all right, come on, young lady. You're a beautiful young lady. You're anointed,
Hmm.
So you have to understand the God that's in you, the God
Hmm.
that's in you. Don't you trust the God that's in you? So if you trust in somebody else, the God that's in you and them, how much more can you trust within you? It's to
Right.
thy own self be true. So I had literally had to talk to myself and gain trust within myself and love myself all over again, because you can't love
Right.
anybody else until you love yourself.
That is
So
true.
once I got all of that and gain all of that, and I'm confident, not conceited, but I'm confident. I know who
Okay.
I am.
All
I
right.
am more than a conqueror. I'm beautiful. You know, I'm attractive. You know, I am all that and then some. Why? Because God said so. I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
That is awesome. Well, you guys, we're going to take a break and we're going to be back with Robbin because we got other stuff to get in touch with. But Robbin, before we take our break right quick, tell tell me how do other people get to participate in your relationship talks?
Um, Request me on Facebook.
Okay.
My name is Robbin Garrett. Request me on Facebook, and then you'll be able to interact with us when we do our relationship talks.
Okay. You guys heard that. Go to Robbin Garrett so you can participate. We'll be right back.